Hey, yo, what up? I'm Josh Martinez on iHeartRadio, NC100 with my guest at this time. Pretty important week for him. All ego, Ethan Page of All Elite Wrestling. What's going on, man?
Not much. I would say every week is pretty important for All Ego Ethan Page.
You know what, though? Of all 52 weeks, yes, this one, based on a tweet you sent out recently, trying to get Dan Lambert into PWI's top 500, that's going to be a big one.
Is it, though? Is it, though? I mean, listen, out of a list of 500 professional wrestlers in the world, Dan Lambert already is better than 50% of them by the way he can talk on the microphone. And not only that, I would say he's better than 70% of them just through brushing shoulders with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky.
There you go. By the way, I'd like to say you're being generous when you say 50%.
Yes, I am.
But
I'm trying not to offend a lot of my friends, okay?
Fair. We respect that. So we'll just kind of jump into it. AEW Full Gear is happening Saturday night in Minneapolis. And you have a pretty big match, a large marquee match, a street fight involving UFC icons, former UFC champions, pro wrestling icons. When you got that call of, hey, this is what we're going to do at this large event, what was that feeling like?
Oh, you mean live on Dynamite when Jericho announced that it's a street fight and I had no idea?
When you get that, what was that feeling like?
Yeah, it was terrible. Not being able to prepare mentally for what I'm sure is going to be a grueling match. But I thrive in those environments. If anyone's followed my career from the very beginning, I've had some insane wars when it comes to street fights or no DQ or I actually do very well in those. I'm a very reserved professional wrestler. I save things. So this will be one of those days where I don't hold back.
Now, how did the pairing come up with Scorpio Sky exactly?
Oh, that was all Tony Khan, his genius. And it was something that both of us kind of were not skeptical, but like, oh, this is interesting. I don't know how this is going to work. And then it ended up being perfect. Like we have a bromance on screen and off screen. It's great chemistry. We've become very fast friends. He's someone that I trust wholeheartedly. And I am having the best time of my career so far. And I think it's only going to get better. So,
I mean, I think anytime somebody buys you Versace sunglasses, that would say, I think we're good.
Can you believe that? Okay. For first thing, if it's in my vlog, it's not a skit or a bit. This man legitimately, I had the money ready. I literally was like, hey, I'm looking for these glasses. Have you seen them? And he goes, oh, I was just talking to the lady that works for Versace. And I'm like, what? All of a sudden, the next week, he goes, yeah, I bought them for you. Here you go. 2 pairs. 2 pairs. I
thought it was one each because you had the 2 boxes on your vlog. I thought it was, so you got 2?
I got both. I genuinely wanted both pairs. Like I was like on the hunt for them. They're brand new. Life's getting good for All Ego Ethan Page. Just thought maybe upgrade a couple pieces. I'm the man of the year. I got to look good. I got in my fancies every single week. 2 pairs. The man bought me 2 pairs of Versace glasses. We've been a team for a couple months.
Hey, man, listen, if you hit that 1-year anniversary mark, who knows what you're going to get at that point, right? You might get a full suit.
What am I going to get him?
He's the veteran. You know what I'm saying? And this particular team, you let him do everything. Just play the role of like, the rookie, even though you're far from that exactly.
I like that.
So let's take a step back a little bit. You've been in the game for many years. You kind of did the regional thing, the independent thing. I heard of your name being in New York City through shows in Queens and stuff like that.
La Boom.
Yes. Which is, I always got a kick out of that because it's a huge like Latin nightclub. And then all of a sudden it's like live wrestling at La Boom. And I'm like, okay, that's where I go to dance. And
dude, I remember because when we would end those indie shows, sometimes they'd run late because it's independent wrestling. And then you have all the waitresses and the servers and the bartenders all coming in decked out in these outfits. I'm like, what is this? Oh, they're getting ready to turn it into a nightclub while there's a wrestling ring getting torn down in the middle of it.
Now, I will say, based on seeing some of the servers there and employees there, I'm sure you weren't exactly rushing to leave by the end.
I'm a married man.
I'll leave it at that.
Keep my eyes on the floor and walk.
There you go. The only person you have eyes for, aside from your wife, is obviously the affair and the bromance you have with Scorpio Sky and that energy. So talking about your wife, you recently became a dad again, but your first boy, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have any kids, right? Knock on wood. I can't handle that. When you find out you're finally getting a boy, so you could kind of even it out, one girl, one boy, what was that feeling like when you get that news?
Oh, it was insane. I feel very lucky, and I know this term has been beaten to death, but very blessed because I get the best of both worlds. It's a perfect situation for parents. We get to enjoy each, one boy, one girl. I think people call it $1 million family. That's what it feels like. I'm so lucky. Now, I will say already, I want to punch him in the face, but that's because he's already a mama's boy. And my daughter is a daddy's girl. And these terms were made for a reason. They're real as hell. If anyone becomes a professional wrestler out of the two of them, it'll for sure be my daughter.
There you go.
Yeah, I know that for a fact. She's very much like me. But I'm excited to see how I raise a boy. My father is, my biggest role model and my greatest motivation, and kind of, he did an amazing job raising me, I would like to think. And I still call on him many times in my life, even 32 years on earth. So I'm very excited to either create a similar bond or see what I can do as a father for a son.
So I recently got engaged about a month or so
Congratulations.
ago. Thank you. It was 7 years in the making. It was about time. It was a long payoff. It was a long build. If you had one bit of advice for me right now during the wedding planning process, what would that one bit of advice be?
Don't care.
Thank you.
It's all up to her. It's literally, look, if she wants you to care, pretend. If she doesn't want your opinion, don't give it. At the end of the day, it's all for them. Enjoy the moments that you can, but there's so much stress and all the attention is going to be on the two of you. And you're doing this interview, so you don't mind the attention. But at least when it came to my wife, she hates being the center of attention. So, I would say allow that. And advice going forward, man, my marriage and my wife is literally the best thing that ever happened to me. So put whatever you can into it. And there's obviously going to be tough times, but as long as you guys have each other's backs, nothing else should matter.
That's dope. I like that. I'm at that point about not caring in the most positive way where she's like, oh, I found this place. We should tour. I'm like, my schedule. Go. Just book it. Yeah. I'm going to end up driving anyway. So
exactly.
I'll be there, right? Like, who cares?
Hey, that's it. Just be there.
As long as I show up that same day too. Before we touch base on your vlog, I don't know of too many pro wrestlers that have been vlogging as consistently and as long as you have. Now, I think your YouTube page has been around almost 10 years, kind of 8 or 9, and you've been kind of consistently vlogging, correct me if I'm wrong, like 3 or 4. Yep. What made you go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to utilize my phone, and now I'm just going to go ahead and capture these moments?
My wife.
Really?
Yeah. So like we're very much a team. And a lot of my good ideas, I guess, outside of professional wrestling things were that I'm trying to follow in the footsteps of people before me, because that's what you do. Like you idolize people and you try and pull off the same, but times change. Become a professional wrestler is a completely different world. And I feel like I've become part of that change and movement is because of all these outside inspirations and the way technology is changing how you present yourself as a performer and a character. You're creating a brand and you're selling it to not just professional wrestling fans. At least I'm not. I'm trying to pull people in from different markets to make them wrestling fans, which I'm finding a lot in the YouTube comments, especially with the toy hunts. People that are into toys are now like, oh, I didn't know wrestlers did this. I didn't even know this was a show. I didn't know that you were a wrestler. I only knew you from this and this. And now they're tuning into TNT every Wednesday or every Friday. So it's cool, but it's definitely my wife that pushed me to do it. And it's been going strong.
Now, you mentioned the action figure love affair that you have with that as well. Is that something that is kind of your vice, if you will, where you're like, this is what I'm going all in on. This is the one thing that I love.
No, that's food.
Okay.
If you're gonna use a word vice, it's food. If you're gonna say, I guess, healthy obsession, I would say it's toys. I'm not a drinker. I'm not a partier. There's very little that I get to do free time and like personal wise, but it's benefited me greatly. And I've started to create a lot of good relationships with people in the world with that. But I will say, now that my daughter's getting old enough to play, you could see her imagination and stuff like that. It's a lot more fun for me to do these toy hunts and look for stuff for her or for. It's gotten a little out of hand, so I'm gonna probably have to fix that soon.
Now, you don't have your own AEW action figure. I can't now, based on the current situation going on TV, based on the story with Scorpio Sky and Dan Lambert and everyone over at American Top Team, I have to imagine that an All Ego Ethan Page action figure is going to be coming probably in the next series, if not within the next 2 series, I would assume. Have you wrapped your mind around that yet? That you have your own action figure? Like, how many times have you cried just thinking about that?
There is a specific reserve of tears that I'm holding on to unleash on the day that I see my action figures coming out. A lot of sad things happen in my life. They deserve their own tears. This is specific to this toy. There's going to be 2 versions of it. One, finding out that it's happening, seeing the sculpt and, the realization that it's real. The second will be seeing it in a store while I'm with my family. This is what I've dreamed of since I was a kid. A lot like performing and stuff like that is cool. Like, I'm very happy I get to share rings with legends and wrestle on pay-per-view and television in front of a million people. That's great. To go into a store and physically see myself hanging next to Spider-Man or Batman or, it's just like, that's what it's all about, is to be remembered forever. Like you said, pop culture, like that's a part of pop culture.
Now, do you want your action figure to like sell out and do well, or do you not want it to sell well? That way it could be a rare action figure and be worth so much more long-term.
Did you hear that on like how I wanted it to become a rare figure?
Well, I just completely her name completely slipped my mind.
It was with Nyla
Rose. Yeah,
so like there's maybe that's my way of like tricking myself into being like, man, it's fine, I'm not that popular.
it's a long game. It's a long
game, which is my wrestling career in a nutshell. So what's one more thing that's going to take a long time? I hope it flies off the shelves. And for so many reasons that, like, just the thought of a kid opening me on Christmas or their birthday is like mind blowing, because I know the value of that. I was that kid. So now, and I know what those toys mean to me now. I still have some of them. I've repurchased some of them in the box to hang up because, like, I have fond memories of getting The Rock's King of the Ring figure where he's wearing those knockoff Adidas. My mom picked me up from school and gave it to me in a bag from Byway Canadian store. It's closed now, but like that's a memory I have forever, that I had to repurchase that toy. So to know that I'll be giving other kids that and like what it's going to mean to them, man.
That it's interesting you say that, because I have a couple fond memories of toys. One in particular with with Billy of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I'll never forget my mom buying it for me and surprising me. And I always get emotional when I tell that story, so I'm not going to go into detail now. But right. I have that story, with my mom surprising me while we're walking by a store in Brooklyn, and it's like, oh, pick a toy, any one. That, and recently I was living in downtown Dayton doing radio, and they had kind of a secondary toy shop in Dayton, Ohio. And I walked into it, and they had like my all-time small Ultimate Warrior action figure for like $12. And I literally picked it up and held it, and like, again, got a little emotional because it's like this flood of emotions that takes you back to this certain time in your life.
Well, there's stuff I read that is connected to that, or movies I watch is connected to that. But my actual collection that I'll probably never get rid of is all the shows I watched as a kid where I was not able to get all the animated series Batman figures when I was a kid. I had Batman, a bad guy. You know what I mean? Like, same thing with the Power Rangers. Like, I had the Power Rangers. Now I want them all in box. And the X-Men, Spider-Man, all animated. It's like, this is all retro stuff that I'm hunting to get that exact feeling of nostalgia and memory and, you know, rewarding myself for things I couldn't have when I was younger.
And we'll start to wrap this up a little bit, but we are from, you know, I am from a music station. You and I are literally a year apart, almost to the day. I'm September 88. What music growing up were you into in Canada specifically?
Oh man. So my dad would listen to literally everything. Like, we had 2 cassettes in our house. One was Phantom of the Opera. And
Okay.
2, you ready for this? Inner Circle.
Things are full. I'm telling you, it's a long-term storytelling.
Dude,
baby.
this is my life. My life is a rib that I don't find out the joke until 15, 20 years later. So I like, you have show tunes and like reggae, or, you know what I mean? Like, what? And then my dad always listened to Latin music. My dad always listened to rap. And this is all influenced just to have variety. And I've always been like that. I can, as long as it can keep a tune or my, I guess, interest, or like, there's songs where I love and I've listened to a million times and I don't know a single word. I'm more of like a vibe, and the person's voice is either soothing or energizes me. I'm into it. I'm not remembering what people said. But I love it all. Not a big country music guy. I'll avoid that. But other than that, I'll pretty much listen to anything.
So how can fans stay in touch with you on social media, and then of course your YouTube blog as well?
Oh, there's so many ways. My website has literally everything. If you want to go to playedbyjulian.com, JULIAN, I have all my vlogs, my toy hunts, my merchandise, all that stuff is linked through there. I'm most active on Twitter, which is @officialego. That's where you'll get most of my updates, what's going on with AEW, what shows are coming up, what big matches I have coming up. And this week, like you said, is a very big one.
Yeah, AEW Full Gear, Saturday night. You're in a pretty damn high-profile match that's probably going to get a little bloody. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be sloppy in the best way possible. And what are you expecting from that match exactly? That's just my opinion as a fan. What are you expecting?
Oh, man. So when you have a mixed martial arts fight, it's one-on-one. You hope for a knockout. It's always the most exciting. I don't know what you get when there's 2 MMA legends in the ring and people aren't even looking in their direction. So you catch one right hand from Arlovsky or Dos Santos while you're not even looking at him. Night-night.
Hey, listen, you and Scorpio Sky aren't exactly far from the martial arts world either. So
that's true. That's true.
You know what you're doing. So Men of the Year, AEW, full appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, man. That was extremely painless. I loved every second of it.